What is far deadlier than most people realize? Serious. Being poor. You can't afford basic health care, basic dental, basic decent anything, and your health pays for it. Not going to the dentist can kill you. Not being able to afford medication can kill you. Not being able to afford a day off to rest when you're feeling bad. Being broke doesn't just suck because you can't do fun stuff. Being broke sucks because you have to choose between your health and your immediate well-being. And hard work alone won't lift you out of that deadly negative cycle. Trucker here. I've had 2 blood clots in my legs from driving long distances and having my leg pressed against the corner of the seat for hours on end. One almost killed me. Apparently it's very common with truckers. You're supposed to stop and walk around every hour and a half to keep things circulating, which almost nobody does due to time constraints. The same thing happens in gaming chairs apparently. People forget to move their legs because they're so focused on the game. You don't need to worry so much if you're younger, but if you're a gamer who's a little older, please be aware. Quit drinking. Been an EMT for a while and work with a lot of the homeless population. Will get calls for people who decided today is the day to finally quit drinking and do it cold turkey. As soon as the next morning, people can present with delirium tremens. Severe withdrawals can induce seizures and can also lead to death. A lot of these people will think because they quit hard drugs like H or M, cold turkey alcohol would be the same without knowing the major effects it can have on your health. This goes for most GABAergic drugs. Benzos, gabapentin, pregabalin, alcohol and some antidepressants are serious crap. When I was using Zans and dope, we'd always joke that dope will kill you from the dose and Zans will kill you from withdrawal. Not sure if it's been said, but untreated sleep apnea, you literally stop breathing and get little quality sleep. The stress on your cardiovascular system is immense. Get tested, period. Then wear the CPAP no matter how unsexy it is. Or maybe surgery to eliminate or reduce the problem. A Brazilian butt lift, BBL, gives people a figure reminiscent of the Kardashians and is hugely popular for getting that Instagram body. But a paper in the Aesthetic Surgery Journal found that 1 in 3,000 BBLs resulted in death, making it the world's most dangerous cosmetic procedure. Don't Google botched Brazilian butt lift. Saw a woman walking on the street with a botched butt lift and it looked like she had bowling balls in her back pockets hanging down her legs. Penile fracture. If this happens to you, do not hesitate to get medical help. 12 weeks ago this happened to me. The tissue that fills with blood and makes the penis erect can fracture when impacted awkwardly, bend at 45 degrees and a huge hematoma and swelling. I went the ED and after the poor student's doctor saw it, I was rushed into hospital. I was informed if it wasn't surgically fixed it could mean necrosis and removal. The surgical procedure involved degloving the penis, removing the hematoma, stitching up the fractured tissue under the skin and then stitching the skin back on. Still having nerve pain, not mention the effect it's had on our sex life. Degloving the penis. Nope. That's brutal, man. Hope you get better soon. Grapefruit juice interacts with a lot of medications and could be very harmful to you depending on the medications you take. Yes, especially for medications like antipsychotics or SSRIs. I have a warning on my medication leaflet. A hangnail. Yes, seriously, I had a hangnail once. It got infected. It became swollen and inflamed. The swelling sealed it shut. The abscess became worse. I went to urgent care. They took one look at my finger and sent me to the ER. I was becoming septic. I spent about 36 hours in the hospital, then home for 2 months of antibiotics. I could have died. That would be a crappy headstone. Here lies ULKJNAL Hutchberg, died of a hangnail. Holding your breath while scuba diving. To most people who don't scuba dive it may sound harmless, but if you hold your breath and ascend even a little over a beat you can suffer major lung damage as a result of the gas in your lungs expanding from the lessening pressure. When I was training to dive, my instructor took a gallon milk jug down with us and he filled it half full with air and brought it upwards, explaining what he would do before we went down. It didn't take long before it filled completely with air and blew the cap off as we were going up. When we got to the surface, he said, imagine that was your lungs. Oleander, Nerium. In fact, it's one of the most common ornamental plants in Southern California, planted in people's backyards and along freeways. The only problem is it's one of the most poisonous plants in the world. Toxic compounds include nereicide, alendroside, and saponins. My mother's friend was trying to sell her a face cream called Nerium. My mom took one look at the ingredients and told the lady she was an idiot. Of course Nerium fills in your wrinkles. Your face is swelling from an allergic reaction. Touching crap inside a guitar amp can frick you up really bad. It holds a charge, and it all comes out at once if you touch the wrong spot. Anything with big capacitors follows this rule. That includes anything with an AC power supply. Going for runs on the roads at night without wearing lights or reflectors. Oftentimes people even wear black. They think that just because they can see the car that the car can see them. It only takes one accident to change someone's life completely. Smoke. It's not only the fire that can kill you, and there is a very good reason you're taught to stay low escaping a fire. The smoke is a hot gas layer that can melt your face off. Visine. People seem to have this idea that a few drops of Visine in someone's drink will give them diarrhea, and do it to prank each other, or get some sort of satisfaction with petty revenge. People are sitting in prison for murder for doing this. The main active ingredient is called tetrahydrozoline. Once it enters your gastrointestinal tract, it can be absorbed by your intestines and end up in your blood, causing your blood pressure and heart rate to drop to potentially life-threatening levels. It really makes me wonder how many people have died due to people copycatting that scene in Wedding Crashers. Engulfment and confined spaces. With confined spaces, people usually don't realize that O2 runs out rather quickly. Engulfment because people probably don't think about essentially drowning in non-liquids. Flowing solid materials don't even have to cover your nose to asphyxiate you. Anything above belly button level will slowly constrict your diaphragm each time you breathe out, just like a boa constrictor. Posted safety precautions. When there are signs saying something, lots ignore thinking they know better. I used to work IT for a place that makes big tractors. Different stations are restricted from using certain PPE. One day this lady was wearing the wrong gloves. Her station is only supposed to use latex. She didn't take that seriously and wore thicker reinforced gloves. She was using the lugnut machine that tightens 12 giant lugs at once. Her glove got caught and instead of ripping the fingertip off of her latex glove it ripped her thumb right the frick off her hand. I witnessed it and her mistake haunts me to this day. They had to restrain her while two men held her hand up in the air away from her. Her wails and screams were terrifying. All because she ignored a well-placed warning. If there's a warning sign posted I usually assume it's because someone already effed up and had that exact thing happen to them. Throwing a single punch. Here in Australia it's been criminalized because fights in pubs and clubs are pretty common. The single punch isn't what causes injury, but falling to the ground and hitting their head on the curb can kill. Especially since drunk people usually don't have the capacity to soften their fall. Think twice before you risk taking a life over losing your pride for a night. Eating a slug. Obviously it's nasty, but kids do stupid crap as dares or even in hazing rituals. Slugs contain parasites that will get into your brain and fricking kill you slowly. Lack of sleep. Increased risk of basically everything you can think of, not to mention that accidents are far more common when you're tired. The less sleep you get, the shorter your lifespan. Fine, I'll go to bed. Vacation. Particularly in nature if you're not used to being in nature. There's a book called Death in Yellowstone and talks about all the weird ways people have died there. Walking off cliffs, falling trees, falling into boiling water. There's the obvious wildlife attacks but there's plenty of less obvious ways. The thing is, people are relaxing for once on vacation and they put themselves in different environments than they're used to. They have their guards down. Tylenol. It's actually a lot easier to overdose on than most people realize, and it slowly destroys your liver over a period of days. Not a fun way to die, to put it lightly. For all you high-functioning alcoholics out there, just avoid Tylenol. Real black licorice root extract contains the natural sweetener glycyrrhizin, which is over 50 times sweeter than sucrose. This ingredient has various pharmaceutical properties. It acts as an expectorant, facilitating removal of mucus from the lungs by coughing, and it increases blood pressure. The latter effect can become significant with a daily consumption of 50 grams or more of licorice candy for as little as 2 weeks. Glycyrrhizin can cause potassium levels in the body to fall, triggering abnormal heart rhythms, as well as high blood pressure, edema, swelling, lethargy, and congestive heart failure in some people. I always loved going to Europe as a kid and finding the licorice candies with the may cause hypertension warning labels on them. Felt dangerous eating them. Haha. Just want to throw a story out here. I am a dentist. I have a colleague who had a patient that needed a root canal. The patient put it off. He had a vacation coming up. He was going to Alaska in bush country to go hunting by himself. Now Alaska bush country means you are alone. He was dropped off and his ride wasn't going to come back to pick him up for a week or two. Well, after his ride left, the tooth he needed to get his root canal on blew up. Had severe pain and was all alone, no one to help him in the middle of nowhere. This was mid to late 90s, so no cell phone either. Well, his ride came back to pick him up. Finds a dead body. The guy killed himself. He couldn't take the pain anymore. Pain was so bad he couldn't wait the 1 or 2 weeks for his ride to come back. Shot himself, left a suicide note telling his story. Moral of the story: don't put this crap off. There is no pain like tooth pain. On my way to brush my teeth. Exploring abandoned places. When I was a kid, I would do it all the time and take photos without any form of facial protection. Fast forward years later and I learn about how toxic certain molds can be. How many older buildings use materials like asbestos which can be in the air when places are left to rot, etc. At this point I just thank God I never had to deal with the aftermath of any of that. Also, to anyone who enjoys doing this, I get it. I just want to bring awareness to the fact that if you participate, a respirator and goggles should be a must. Also, as a side note, be wary of scrappers and individuals looking for a place to do drugs. Had a run-in like that during one of the last excursions I made and it's not fun. Touchscreen consoles in cars. Mazda now disables touch functionality in their vehicles because they found that when drivers interact with the touchscreen they drift the vehicle to the right, taking your eyes off the road to press 3 buttons in 3 different positions on the touchscreen, with a latency each time you press a button, because your seat heaters are literally burning your butt while trying to maintain control of the vehicle during freeway traffic is goddamn dangerous. A driving instructor once put it this way: if you're on the highway and you look away for 3 seconds, you've driven the length of an American football field without looking at the road. Insulin. Looking at drops on a table, you can barely tell the difference between the therapeutic dose and a lethal one. As a diabetic it's a little scary, but luckily the cure is just eating sugar, and you can feel your blood sugar dropping low long before you're in real danger of dying, unless you took some astronomical dose or something. Standing under waterfalls. Great, now I'm scared of waterfalls. Deer. Over 120 people a year die from deer directly, and another 175 to 200 from car accidents caused by deer, with some 10,000 injuries, and more deaths and injuries related to deer hunting. By the way, deer are pretty mean and terrible parents. I have seen a deer push her fawn ahead of her near the food, to see if there is a predator. Then, if the fawn is okay, go out and hit the fawn to get at the food herself. In the same vein, hitting a moose with your car has a 13x higher chance to result in human death than hitting a deer. They are actually considered one of the deadliest animals in North America since they can literally throw your car off the road with their antlers. You are much less likely to encounter one, but it's way more fatal if you do. Windows. It's easy to think they're more secure than they actually are, which is especially dangerous in taller buildings. Falling through a broken window has a very high risk of a major laceration. Broken glass on the floor can again mess your body up spectacularly, and on certain surfaces it's really hard to spot even moderately sized razor sharp pieces. Quitting antidepressants cold turkey after regular use. PS. Did cold turkey Prozac, olanzapine. Right now tapering Lixapro, escitalopram from 20 mg to 2.5 mg now. And worst evil cold turkey of all time awards goes to benzodiazepines and pregabalin, Lyrica, to clonazepam always. Quitting these medicines cold turkey 99% of the time gives you a seizure. I had to, but guess what, I'm already epileptic. So more seizures. Thank you for awards and upvotes. Peas. People saying taking antidepressants at first place is bad for you. No, it's not. It saved my life. I didn't know I had depression, but I stopped eating, had extreme stomach issues, gas, acid reflux, etc. Lost 15 kilograms weight in 30 days. Stopped eating at all. I have seen 5 gastroenterologists, so many tests like endoscopy, colonoscopy, liver function, blood, stools, etc. Everything was normal. Suffered whole year. I was close to death. Then I was recommended a psychiatrist. She told I have somatization. Meds started working from day first. I felt happy and started to eat. Gained all that weight back in again 1 month. That weight losing and gaining thing was like some Christian Bale thing. Haha. Been there, done that. Don't recommend. Choking during sex. There are right and wrong way to do it, and people definitely don't realize they're doing it the wrong way. I remember hearing a 911 call recording years ago from a guy who was frantically trying to revive his girlfriend wife because they were doing choking during sex. It was awful hearing him slowly realize he had killed her. Horses. They weigh 1,200 pounds. They are extremely jittery, and they can crush you or kick you to death on accident. And that's just horses in general. Stallions will try to hurt you just to assert dominance. And these are animals that have been known to bite each other's throats out when they fight. Don't mess with horses unless you know what you're doing. Always be careful, even if you do. Having any object loose in your car. If you get in a crash, they all become projectiles, and even a cell phone can kill you. Table corners, particularly low tables. You fall farther before striking the table, giving a greater impact force. For similar reasons, hard surface floors that are prone to be damp. For example, tiled floor in a shower. This applies especially if the shower has a nice little built-up threshold between it and the rest of the bathroom. Experience this one firsthand stepping into a shower in a hotel room. Update. Wow, this has blown up. Please, stay safe, friends. I almost lost an eye to a table corner once. Fights. People are way too eager to prove who's the bigger badass. Hit someone the wrong way or start something with the wrong person and someone's not going home. Then if the police show up, someone's getting charged. Depending on the severity of the other party's injuries and the word of witnesses, you could be going away for a very long time. Not to mention the civil suits that may bury you in debt. Yup, I got sucker punched right above my left eye. 6 stitches and a fractured orbital socket, and had to stay overnight at the hospital for observation since it was a head injury. Since the injuries were from an assault, charges were automatically pressed and we found ourselves in court a few months later. All from a single punch. NSW answer. But sharing using sex toys and other incitables. And not just in the sense of sterilization, but also improper stretching, lubing, and proper maintenance of your body and toys incitables. I work in an adult stores. I do my own research into the products we sell, and let me tell you, the horror stories of newbies just picking up a 8-inch dildo after seeing a porno and going, hey, if they can do it, so can I. Are 2 men at a count. I have brought close friends of mine to the hospital and just to help them get their body patched up from improper use. I have seen the result of improper use of non-lubricating substances on people's bodies. And I had a friend who died from a terrible rectum infection. Look, I know some of you are going to do these things anyways, and I have already made my point, but if you want to protect yourself, here are 5 things to ensure you all are safe from bad sexual practices. 1. Soap and water. Clean yourself and your toys before and after. Regular, unscented soap and warm water will be enough. There is also toy cleaner on the market which works just as well. 2. Start small. Lots of lube. Those professionals on the XXX tapes, they are professionals for a reason. They work their way up to those sizes. So start small, and use more lube than you think you need. 3. More lube. I ain't kidding. The more the merrier. Also, I always recommend water and silicone based lubes. The following is not lube: Bengay, butter, Tabasco hot sauce, alcohol, plain water, spit, semen, juice, bleach, clean solutions, blood, and anything else that is not water. Silicone based lube. 4. Is it used? Or do you not know WHO Hiditi? Don't use IT. STDs are still out there and can be easily carried over on toys that infected individuals play with, even with soap and water. If you know the previous owner is clean, still proceed with caution. Also, ask for permission before you play with other people's toys. 5. Pain is not pleasure. Look, as much as the BDSM community will glare at me for this, if it hurts, pull out immediately. Pain is your body's way of saying stop, so ignoring it is both stupid and life-threatening. Only follow pain once you are certain that it's the expected kind of pain, like spanking, soreness, and electroplay. Actually, double check that last one. That may be a fault in your vibrator. The hero that we need. Thank you. Lathe machines. There's a video straight out of Russia of a man getting caught in one and within seconds his guts are all over the room. Not a video, there's several videos out there of different occurrences of this happening, all of which are brutal. Cars. Very interesting how much society has normalized the dangers of the road. We often say things like you're more likely to die in a car accident than blank, which is intended to make blank seem safe, but it really tells us how many people are dying in car accidents all the time. A friend died on a car accident today on a highway in Miami. He left our country because of the level of violence and ended up dying in a car crash there with his girlfriend. His brother was in the backseat and he is in coma. Somewhere I heard that you can be the best driver in the world, but you just need one mistake or even someone else's mistake to be the end. I'm an animal control officer, so I have to say dogs. The majority are friendly and sweet, but I've seen some really dangerous dogs and bite cases. The worst was a little black Staffordshire Terrier who ripped the elbow sockets out of a man. He was rushed to surgery, but he'll be alright in the long run. Or another with a 7-month-old baby who got in the way of a food-aggressive dog and had to have brain surgery. If a dog is big enough, it can absolutely kill you with enough intent. People tend to forget this and put themselves between two dogs fighting. This is the reason for like 80% of my bite cases. Dogs were fighting or were about to, and the owner thinks they can break it up. Moose. They make look goofy and are herbivorous, but those antlers aren't there just for show. Plus, they are significantly bigger than people give them credit for, reaching up to 6 or even 7 feet at the shoulder, able to weigh over half a ton, and are known to be very territorial and aggressive during mating season, killing more people than bears in Alaska. I live on the north coast of Car. People do not take seriously the signs that are posted on the beach regarding sneaker waves. If you are standing along the shoreline and not paying attention, water can rush past and overtake you. So when walking on the beach, keep your head on a swivel and be mindful of the water. In a single year, there are 25 more deaths caused by pens than deaths caused by sharks. Everyone has at least one pen in his pencil case, but nobody has a shark in his pencil case. Mental abuse at any age. It doesn't matter if you think it's a joke or if others are doing it too. You have no idea what people are going through, and that one comment could be what pushes them over the edge. Even more so if it's a comment on something they are insecure about, or if you're not the only one saying it, or if it's repetitive. Note, do not pick fights with strangers, especially over petty things. More people are mentally unstable than you realize and will do something lethal in a fit of rage. Run you over with their car, grab a knife, beat you with something until you're dead. There's no need to save the day or prove you were right. It's not worth it. Just move along. That if something falls in through your body, for example a tree branch fell on you and went through your body, stabbed you, people don't realize that the thing that stabbed you is sealing the wound, so if you take it out you can die. This. Never, ever remove something by yourself that has been deeply stabbed into you. Knife, shrapnel, glass, branches, etc. It could actually be preventing you from bleeding out. Put pressure on the wound and wait for medical personnel to decide what the best course of action is. Constipation. As an RN, I've seen too many people almost die from bowel obstructions. If you haven't pooped in a week, I'd be very concerned if I were you. Heat. Seriously, not even that much of it. Few decades ago when I was in boot camp, we were doing a 10-mile march. I'd had surgery a couple weeks before the march, which wasn't a problem for the march itself, aside from mild moderate pain which caused me to sweat more than usual. For whatever reason army, they forgot to set up water refill stations this day. 1 mile in, I was through all my water. 2 miles in, I was absolutely drenched in sweat. 6 miles in, I stopped sweating, but continued getting hotter. 9 miles in, I fell face first into the dirt, completely unconscious and in a severe state of dehydration. Got rushed to the ER, was told I was a few minutes away from never waking up. Totally freaked up my insides now. I'm an old man but my guts, kidneys etc. are fricked. I get migraines regularly. Apparently it's an occasional side effect of a single exposure to severe heat stroke. Stay cool, drink lots of water. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.